Hey, it's November 12th, Friday. Dr. James Chew and I in the house. We have a special guest today. Chewy, you were like locked in on this guy. You started doing a lot of information. First time notes. Probably see some more notes for the second show. We got a double header today. We're doubling it up. Thanks for making time today, James.
No, thanks.
I know it was, now, James, I need you to talk. I can already tell. He's like, no, thanks. Remember, you're the expert on these things, and I'd love having you on here. So don't worry about anything that's coming through. We're going to keep it going. All right. I guess at this point, Friday morning, our golfer, our one-armed golfer for the viewers and listeners out there, introduce yourself and rock and roll.
Yeah. My name is Alex Fourie, and I'm glad to be here, grateful to be here. I am the first one-armed PGA golfer qualified this summer, and that was really cool. Passed my player's ability test, was the only one out of 14 golfers to do that, and kind of pissed some people off because they had two arms and I had one, and they weren't very happy about that.
That's odd.
So did all the tests and qualified and passed in level 1 PGA, and
first time ever. No one has that was one arm. First time. That is a historical event for the PGA.
Yeah, so that's really cool. Really proud to represent the PGA.
Somebody should do a story on you.
I think we got something in the works.
Someone should interview you for real.
Yeah, we got something in the works about that.
Well, Griff was really excited. Griff is our stand-in today for our stunt double, Ben, that's not here. We get it, Ben. You're hustling today. So Griff is taking over with tons of cameras. This guy came to rock.
Yeah.
I feel like a celebrity.
Yeah, he's shooting a lot of docs right now, and he told us about you. And
we're super excited. Super excited that you're here. I want to. There was an event. Okay, so let's back up though. You gave us the good stuff. Let's back up to the very, 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 very beginning of your story. Well, let's preface this first because you might not be aware of why we have some of these conversations right now, and some of these conversations are surrounded by a topic, which is mental toughness. Okay, and so one of Charlie's clients. This is your first time in the Wood Gym, right?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Super cool.
Yeah. So man and myth legend Charlie Petrone over here put this all together, and has been working with clients for 30 plus years. Has a one client in particular that had some questions about mental toughness. So Charlie over here, he trains athletes, he trains kids, he trains 90-year-olds. He trains them all at the highest levels to the humblest levels. All right. So this father brings in a kid. He's about 8 or 9 years old, and they're playing football. Inner city kid versus the well-to-do kids. And the inner city kids were pushing around the rich kids and intimidated them. And so the question was, where does mental toughness come from? Is it your environment? Is it the individual? How do you raise a kid mentally tough? And so we've had a number of individuals, accomplished individuals that have come through here to talk about their thoughts on mental toughness. Well, Griff over here, how did you, Griff DeLong, who has been working with Charlie for a number of years as an athlete, is now doing documentary work, said, I got a guy for you. We want to bring him in here. So how did the two of you meet, Griff? And
I don't even know how I met Griff. I don't even know. Was it on the golf course?
I think it was at Williams Creek.
It was at Williams Creek. Yeah, that's right. So Griff makes club head covers, and I saw him. I was the assistant, and
he does that also.
He does.
Okay.
Yeah, he does everything. And
I don't know why he battles anxiety.
Okay, dude,
it's the first I've heard of club head covers.
It was really cool. I said, you got to make me one, or we got to work something out. I'll give you lessons if you make me a head cover, and kind of just sparked that friendship from there, and we're still in the works for a head cover. We'll see what happens. But.
So great point, though, Chewy. Let me back up for a minute. That was a great point because when we brought him on, or we put him in the slot, I was just thinking his story as a one-armed PGA golfer, and you're paralleling it over to the mental toughness
Oh
episode.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
I mean,
and because there's, I want to do the full. I want to get the beginning and the end, or not the end, but where you are right now, because out of those questions, we're looking at the environment. We're looking at where you were raised. We had some baseball player that had worked with other Dominican baseball players, and he talked about their culture and why they were mentally tough in comparison to the Americans. Poverty and whether or not that can shape someone, or having too much money, whether that shapes someone good or bad. All of those things, but. So when Griff brings you on board and offers your story, a little bit of your backstory to us, I got super excited because I was like, oh man, this is going to be an incredible story. So he gave us some information. I took a look at some of your story pieces and a little bit of your bio, and I started looking into the events in the Ukraine, and super excited to have you here. So I want to tell me what happened April 26, 1986.
Yeah.
From where you were originally. Because you sound like you're from America, but you're not.
No, I totally have that country accent, and I can thank Alabama for that. But I was born in Ukraine. I was born about 50 miles south of Chernobyl.
Yeah.
And there was
the city of Pripyat?
how do I say it? Zveni Vorodka.
Okay.
Is the right way to say it. It's really hard. But I grew up in Uman,
okay,
which is where the orphanage that I grew up for so long.
50 miles away from Chernobyl.
Yeah.
So what was your date of birth?
So I was born 1992-ish. They don't really exactly know the date.
So about 6 years after the event. So April 26, 1986 was the Chernobyl disaster.
Correct.
That's when it started. Correct. So 5, 6 years. You don't know exactly when.
Correct.
You were born.
So what happened was, the big explosion. A lot of radiation got into the river, and I lived. I was born in the city by the river, the Dnieper River.
Where you literally downstream
literally downstream from the radiation.
Okay.
That engulfed the. Everything really.
HBO did this. I'm sure you heard a lot about the HBO movie, and that was it was a groundbreaking miniseries that people raved about. But beyond just a docudrama, I kind of looked at some of the facts from Chernobyl. Okay, so one of the facts is that this was by far the worst nuclear disaster in the history of the world. Really set alarm bells for the entire world when it came to nuclear disasters, right?
Absolutely. And, with the Soviets being the Soviets, they didn't really want anything to get out information-wise. And so,
still communist at that time, fully communist. Yeah.
Correct. And so nobody really knew anything about it except for the Soviets and everybody that was being affected by it.
And it was millions of people that were affected in that area, right? And so put this in today's dollars when there was an estimate on the cleanup when it came to Chernobyl. If we were to translate those dollars into today's dollars to just clean up that area, which was not a heavily populated area, but it would have taken about $68 billion in 2019 dollars to estimate what they spent on cleaning that region up.
Absolutely. Yeah, we think of oil spills, as a big deal, and they are a big deal, but nothing compared to nuclear radiation going for, multiple countries in Europe.
Real quick, some facts about that I pulled up. Rates of cancer went up tremendously in and around that region, especially thyroid cancer. Mm-hmm. Estimate of 10,000 deformities at least in that region. 5,000 childhood deaths. There's an estimate by the Annals of New York Academy of Science that there are 985,000 premature deaths as a result of Chernobyl. So there's a lot of controversy around the effects of this nuclear fallout. People are still dealing with it today, right? And in and around that region, and it may have spread to other parts of Europe. But they're just not the controversies there. But this was a huge event in and around that region that was kept hush hush. You lived that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So I moved from a baby orphanage. I got placed in the orphanage. They don't know when it happened. But
And there was thoughts that your mother at the time may have drank the water. Is that right?
correct. Yeah, that's what most people are saying. You know, I've gotten research by Harvard and all these
No
guys.
kidding.
Yeah, DNA research and all that, and they're saying most likely that that my mom drank the water. It was in the system, and then when I was developing in her womb, that I was born with a cleft lip and palate, so I had a hole in my mouth for almost 7 years.
7 years
Yeah.
for your entire life until you received surgical treatment. Is that right?
Yeah, and then I got lucky. I hit the lottery like multiple times. There was a guy who found me in the baby orphanage. His name was Vic. His daughter actually found me on a mission trip, and they were like, "Well, we got adopt him because I had a hole in my mouth. I had one arm, and that's not great in the Soviet." Realm, the communism realm, you've got to be fit and strong and big, and if you can provide, then you're worth keeping. And
That's the determination who will be adopted from the orphanage? Is that the thought?
Yeah, very similar. So I really got lucky. At 7, at 6, you're not allowed to get if you're handicapped, and I was labeled mentally handicapped because I have one arm and cleft lip and palate, and so
You don't seem mentally handicapped to me.
my wife sometimes says that but no, I'm kidding. But you're actually not allowed to get adopted after the age of 7 if you're mentally handicapped. That was one of those.
And you were
options.
labeled as such, and so your chances of being adopted because of this label dropped down to
0.1%. And so my parents, long story short, my parents found me. I was having surgery in Oxford, England, to rehab my lip.
Southampton. Is that
Yeah,
what it was?
yeah. And so that's actually my favorite football club.
That's soccer.
Love it. Everybody's like, "Are you a Chelsea fan?" I'm like, "No, Southampton. I know we suck." I cheer for them because I clearly remember after surgery, driving around and I saw the club, I saw the football fields, and I got to be with my parents at the time.
So, can you back up a little bit? So, this is early 1990s.
Mm-hmm.
What are the conditions like in an orphanage in the Ukraine close to Chernobyl?
Not the best. We did have.
You remember this very clearly.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
We did get government funding, and they, the people in the orphanage like to spend it on themselves. So we had food about once a day.
Once a day.
Yeah, we had borscht, which is a radish
Soup, right? Yeah.
and it's kind of hard to eat soup with a hole in your mouth. So I weighed 35 pounds when I was 7 when I came here.
35 pounds
Yeah,
when you're
so
7 because you're so severely malnourished as a result.
And then also, it was as soon as the people found out that I was getting adopted, I was the first person adopted from that orphanage, which was pretty cool, but sad as well.
What were the facilities like in that place like that?
Kind of like that HBO documentary on Chernobyl, on the outside, everything run down, the paint, lead paint everywhere, but it's chipped, and I mean, it kind of looks like a Chernobyl.
Yeah.
That's the best way I can describe it to you. The inside, the orphanage director, I remember her. She was a very sweet old lady. She loved me. I don't know. Guy had, his heart. Or she had, her heart set on me.
So you had one person at least that was really looking out for your best interest over
kind of
that.
fighting for me. When I got adopted, they didn't want to feed me because I was a waste.
I read that in one of your bios that there was a gentleman named Scott. Is that right?
Vic.
Okay, that ended up really taking a eye on you to adopt you.
Mm-hmm.
You had the chance to be adopted, but then after surgery, you had to go back.
I did, yeah.
Yeah,
I
you had to go back.
I met my parents actually on Mother's Day in '99, and I met them. I was recovering from cleft lip and palate surgery in Oxford, and then I had to go back for 6 months.
And did you not know if you were going to get adopted at that point? Or?
I mean, they were telling me like, "Hey, this is your new family," but we didn't know what family was.
And at that time, when you were getting thrown back over there.
Yeah, that was not fun.
They picked on you.
Oh yeah. Because I was the kid that was about to, go to America and live his best life. I didn't know what America was. I didn't know anything. I didn't know what parents.
It's not like you had a bunch of TV to watch, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. And so the orphanage people, the caretakers, they knew what was going on, but. Yeah, the kids didn't like it. Nobody really liked it. But as a result of me getting adopted, I think there's been like 12 adoptions
since then
in that orphanage.
When you say that this is your new family, you didn't have a clue what that meant, right?
No, I didn't know what like mom and dad, what ownership of anything was. And so like they took me to Walmart and they're like, "You can have this." I'm like, normally we just take what we need.
And you didn't the understand of commerce and what that's your ownership or anything. You didn't know what that meant.
No. My dad did say I went from communism to capitalism in one trip to Walmart.
So to walk us through that a little bit. That you've got now your. Were you excited when you met these people? Were you like, what? Okay, this is my mom. What is that? What does that mean to you?
So when I met them, I knew that they told us, hey, these could be your parents. And they told everybody that. And so we actually were like fighting for their attention. And so I remember my dad had another, his name was Igor, had him on his lap, giving him like candy or something, maybe a banana, I think it was. And I just walked up to him and just punched him.
Oh, because you wanted his attention.
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna get adopted.
You're obviously, as an orphan, you're starving for fatherly and motherly love, right? At that point in time, yeah. So when you finally somehow 6 months you persevered, you're getting bullied, you're getting people weren't too happy with you, thrilled with the fact that you were getting treated or getting adopted. Yeah. What was it like when you went back on a plane trip to England and then, or was it America? Where?
So went from England after surgery back to Ukraine to an orphanage for 6 months. My mom, I don't know how she did it. I guess with God's help. I got adopted in 6 months. That whole process took 6 months, which normally international adoptions take about 2 years. And I don't know what she did. I know she had some friends up in Washington that helped her out, and which helps a lot.
According to your bio, your parents are not American.
No, they're from South Africa.
They're from South Africa. They were missionaries, is that right? And then
Correct.
They came. How did they landed in America? How?
Yeah, my dad really wanted to go to seminary in America. He already got a master's degree in South Africa.
Christian seminary, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Christian seminary. He was a preacher, and my mom was working in healthcare in South Africa, which is crazy now. But
when you see the picture of your first day after you've healed from your cleft lip surgery, and I see the smiles on your parents' face, I mean, you couldn't see happier people.
No, they have been trying to have kids for 7 years, and the day that they said, "Hey, we're quitting, we're stopping, God has other plans," they actually heard about me.
That's how
they quit that Saturday night. They were like, "We're done," and then Sunday morning, Vic, the guy who found me, preached at my dad's church.
Seriously, yeah. So that just the next day,
literally
that's how
12 hours. And then my parents were on an airplane to England the next, it was about 6 days. So.
Chaz, super quiet. Got nothing.
Well, I don't know any of this, and that's what's so beautiful about it, is I knew that Chewy was going to do his homework on it. I'm just listening to the story, just gassed. It's amazing.
Yeah,
I mean that's my questions are totally different than your questions of how he got there. What? I mean, nobody's ever addressed how did you lose your arm, and nobody's ever addressed that. We got to get this kid a new hat. That thing looks horrible.
We got to get Patron hat.
We're going to give him a Patron hat before he leaves. It must mean something to him because I'm looking at him going, that hat has been through it.
Yeah.
You're talking to him.
I'm sponsored by Hamarki.
Got it. You got it. Yeah.
I was using had a fire, and my idiot ass just blew the fire out. Well, with the hat. And I looked
you
at
look
it.
good without a hat. I just saw it. Yeah.
Seriously.
Here,
I'll take it off.
No, it's great. Leave it on. on.
He looks good. I'm going to
And
get
I
him a
looked at
Patron
it, I'm
hat.
like, what am I doing? It's a white hat.
So the reason why I wanted to
I'm going to get him a new one. That has makeup on it.
I want to have this picture because this is a story of with such amazing backdrop to show how far someone can go. And to know how the cultures could be fundamentally different, the economic system, everything, the language can be so different. In top of that, poverty and impoverished in the sense that you might not have, though you had someone that loved you over there, this caretaker, but you still didn't have, if you didn't even know the concept of a family at that time, you didn't understand the concept of material possessions. And then on top of this, you have this incredible, beautiful story of faith, that brings you to these parents who were waiting and expecting for their own miracle, couldn't have it. Then 12 hours later, you have a miracle. You are the miracle. Yeah. When in a system that doesn't say you're a miracle, but you're defective, you don't have a brain, you have no chance of surviving in our society, but to your parents, you're a miracle. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. And grateful for them trusting in God, and really just kind of doing what He said. And He said, "Go get this kid out of an orphanage." And they really wanted another person as well. They wanted a brother or sister, but I was a little too much to handle.
So when you came home to this place called Alabama, America, what was that like for you? That must have been such a crazy experience. Like your world was flipped upside down at that point, right?
Oh, yeah. I remember we were at gate C7, and there was probably 20, 30 people that had like welcome home signs and everything. And my parents were like, "This is your family." And I'm like, in South Africa, they do family big.
Okay.
And they have, I think we had family dinner twice a week, 3 times a week with everybody. And so that was really cool.
Well, you went from one borscht meal a day. You're 35 pounds at 7 years old. 35 pounds, Chaz, at 7 years old.
Stop the train. I think Justin Sims was the last guest we had talking about mental toughness and environment. I think he's the winner.
Yeah.
With environment.
Yes.
Come on.
Yes. And so now they're saying you have 3 meals a day with a family. So you went from having impoverished nothing as far as relationships, love, to all of a sudden you're eating 3 meals a day and you got a family?
Oh, yeah. My first meal with my parents was in Kiev at McDonald's, and I had 3 quarter pounders.
Three.
And
Was that like the best thing you had ever eaten?
Absolutely. Well, and I was starving for salt as well because
minerals.
Yeah, minerals. And so I had 2 of the large fries as well, and they're like, "Okay, enough."
You slow down.
Yeah, you gotta slow down.
So you remember that very clearly. That was that probably the best meal you've ever had in your life?
Absolutely.
You can remember that and say,
I remember.
You could say, what is my favorite meal I've ever had in my life? It was that in Kiev.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And they had like a playhouse, and my parents were like, "Yeah, you can go play. I don't care. We'll go, go down the slide and all that."
The playhouse is, you probably didn't have much of a playhouse when you were in the orphanage, right?
Not really. No. So many good stories of the orphanage. I remember, I think I was like 4 or 5, and they had workers out there, and I had my first cigarette, and they're like, "Yeah, go ahead, smoke it." And you're like, that was playtime.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, in the orphanage, you got to hang out with the workers. I'm not sure that's legal or anything nowadays, but they were drinking beer, having cigarettes,
and they're giving it to the 4 or 5-year-old.
Absolutely. I remember that. It was weird. But you remember little things, and you're like, okay, well, I remember being on a wall smoking a cigarette.
Yeah, this is absolutely amazing.
Griff, do you know a lot of this? Since you're shooting the documentary on him and brought him to us.
How old were you when that happened?
I think I was like 4 or 5. Because I remember clearly like hopping on the wall that they were working and the dude's like here
Smoking
Just
heaters,
get-
4 or 5.
Yeah.
Again, winner. Winner Sims. We get it, Sims.
Yeah, so that's now you're in Alabama. You got this thing called a family. You got all this food. Where's your head going with all this stuff?
Man, we didn't have like a male role model or anything, so I was immediately attached to my dad. I was like, all right, we're gonna bro out. He takes me fishing, I think day 2 of America.
Yeah.
And he gives me a fishing ride.
And you're like, what is this? What do I do with this?
Well,
Yeah.
I watch him catch it. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's cool. Let me do it. And he's trying, like, he's like thinking of how he can teach me to fish with one arm. And he just hands me the rod, like, you got it. I don't know.
I want to.
Well, did we? I'm sorry, Doc. I know it's a question that I asked, but did you lose the arm from overseas? Or,
Yeah, I never had
you were born.
Yeah,
with,
I was born
okay,
without
okay.
it.
I didn't.
Never,
did you know
I never
that?
lost it.
I guess that, but I didn't know that for
Okay,
sure.
I didn't know
that
if the
for sure.
Chernobyl
Yeah.
thing or
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
that, right?
I love to tell stories, though, especially
You were
like
born-
little kids. Yeah, actually, I'm like, yeah, shark attack.
You know, he'd be a perfect player in the role for the turkey ride. Can you ride a bike?
Like a motorcycle or
A bicycle?
I think I can. I
Yeah.
don't.
Have you ever tried?
Yeah,
I mean,
I was in the Boy Scouts and they got my riding back.
I mean, just because of his personality, he'd be good after it, where we sit around the fire pit and eat
Yeah,
breakfast
yeah, yeah.
after or whatever. He
Yeah,
seems
yeah.
like a good dude so far.
You know,
Great energy.
But with he's talking about this really tough circumstance. He's smiling the entire time.
He seems, well, I mean, he's layered with Jesus Christ all over him.
Oh,
You
man.
know, you could tell his faith is so strong. So, I mean, it's a win. Look at his Friday coming in doing a podcast, met a great
Dude,
person
this guy,
like Griff.
Like, makes everything look like it's just
It's-
like you want to like appreciate everything.
Oh, absolutely.
Hey, so Griff, when you were panicking this morning on the podcast, you should have just called him and go,
know.
"Hey, I got one arm. Okay, we're good to go."
So you went fishing. You got this male role model for the first time in your life, and you're like, I don't want this to stop.
Oh, absolutely. I have a picture, and I'll post on Instagram. We caught like 50 fish, like 50 bass.
Wow.
I was
Alex
like,
loves deep sea fishing.
love deep sea fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big tuna guy. So.
And then he introduced golf to you, right?
He did, yeah. About a week later, we had a friend who cut down some golf clubs for me, and I remember the driver.
Because he was a big fan of golf, right?
He
Is that-
he
okay.
was. He still is, and loves golf. Everything to do with it. I remember watching, Saturday mornings instead of cartoons, we would watch EPL and then Golf Channel, and it was great. My mom got to sleep in till whenever she wanted to, and we got to bond over EPL and golf.
Yeah. So that was one of those things, fishing, golf, that you have such a strong association with the good things that was brought to you by your father. Right?
Absolutely, yeah. Love to hunt as well with
Yeah.
him. Dove hunt, turkey hunt, deer hunting, all that fun
You a
stuff.
country boy?
I am. Like I said, Alabama made the country.
Yeah, Ukrainian country boy. Yeah. So do you? I'm assuming faith is at the center of your parents' life and your life at this point. So that's how you are. That's how that runs your world.
Absolutely. Without God and without obedience, from my parents, none of this would be happening. I'm not sure I would be alive.
Yeah.
Like statistically, I would not be alive. I would have been kicked out at 16 from the orphanage, and then just.
Is that what would happen? 16, you're out, you're done,
out,
and then
you're
you're
in
just
the world.
you're walking the streets. Is that
Yeah.
what happens?
Yeah, that's what happens. So.
Charlie, help me. What's going on over?
Well, Griff and I are going back and forth with text messages, so I'm not being rude. It's all about you. First of all, your energy's amazing, and I know that's probably through your faith and your walk with Jesus Christ, but also your makeup and how, Chew, I still think I'm, with this mental toughness thing, I still think I'm going back and forth of, I'm starting to weigh more and more towards Louis Simmons, which thankfully, when I listen to my own podcast, Chewy always brings me back because Chewy knows about Louis Simmons, but Chewy, as professional as he is and the expert he is on the table, always goes, Louis Simmons, one of your mentors, Westside Barbell, Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah.
You always bring those things back to me. I'm leaning towards more that you're born an MFer. Yeah, I think you're starting to see more of, like we talked about the little voice, how my voice takes it different from my mother saying those things to me. I think that's the MFer in me, and the little voice of, do we get up today and do the hard stuff or not the hard stuff? Well, this guy's an MFer. I mean, he's a Patron guy, wood gym guy. What you could already tell of his energy. I think how tough he is. Of course, raised with your parents, but I think God had something for him and had 100%. A plan for him, and he believes that. But you asked a question, I don't understand it, so you could ask it on air.
Talking about more of your mom and your dad played a big role into you adapt to
how you are, and
there's no excuses.
Yeah,
that's how you interview on the doc. I like that.
So, if you didn't hear that, Griff has said wants you, Alex, to explain the relationship with your mom and dad. That you have no excuses. You've had some hard circumstances. Yeah, you only have one arm. Yeah, you had the cleft palate, but there's no excuse. Is that right?
What are you talking about with the parents?
Opposite of what a lot of people are raised in America to this day.
Yeah, so they didn't. Did they coddle you and say, "Hey, we'll pick up everything for you, put your socks on for you"? How'd this work?
Ask him how about his parents played a big part.
Absolutely no coddling allowed. I believe in mental toughness. You're born with it, but you get to choose joy. And so people, every morning when you wake up, you get to choose joy, have a happy smile on your face. I believe that. But being mentally tough, I do think circumstances make you.
Well, he probably had a twofold. He was probably born with some rock solid MFer in him, and then
to survive,
to
survive in his circumstance,
an orphan.
Yeah,
So I think the double fold. The environment is one that Sims talks about on the last couple shows we had, and then being born. I think that this guy's rock.
And then your parents. Then how did they forge that?
So I was listening to a podcast when your mom told you, what she told you, and I laughed because that's literally my mom.
Well, what's funny is I was on the couch again last night and chopping it up, and I was talking, and I was like, man, I think Mom made more of a difference of who I am and what I'm doing right now, because you hit on it too, Chewy, is you treat everybody in here like Jackie treated you. It's black or white, and that shaped my life. That changed my destiny.
Yeah. So your mom was the same way?
Absolutely. My mom's a go-getter, no excuses, make things happen. And my dad was in the Army, so he got, Army training, and then he's a pastor. So he had kind of both sides.
You got the best of both worlds. Lucky you, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So that many, many blessings in that respect. So when you say no excuses, then how were you raised?
No excuses. You wake up, you learn to tie your shoes. And it took me about 7 hours to learn how to tie my shoe. But guess what? I was in my room learning how to tie my shoes. And we're not getting you Velcro. I mean, they would have if there was no plausible way of me learning how to tie my shoes.
But they were determined that you're going to live normally.
Correct. Yeah, yeah. And I was pretty set on being normal. I didn't want to be like the one-armed kid, because I did all the basketball camp, swimming camp, all that, and I would, swimming with one arm, but you're not normal. I don't swim in circles. Don't ask me that. But you just had no excuses. You just did it. There was no time for excuses. There was no time to fail. There was no time to sit back and be like, well, I could have done this.
Alex,
you just do it.
This is where I do. Chewy usually is the professional on, and I spin my head and then come up with things. I think my new shirts on the back should say no Velcro.
I love that.
because that's the easy way, and only
Yeah.
people would know. What do you mean by that?
Yeah.
That's the easy. That right there, again, loads on to his inner MFer, in my opinion.
Parents just saying, you could do this.
Yeah.
7 hours, like you didn't bat an eye at. I'm sure you've heard it the first time, and your jaw dropped, going, "What?" And Americans are like, "Not only do I need Velcro, I need 6 pairs of Velcro."
His parents weren't American, by the way.
Yeah, I think that helped too, because in that South African culture, it was hard too. Like you're hard. And
No
my dad,
Velcro.
no Velcro.
Well, they came in as immigrants to America.
Correct. Yeah.
So that's different as well. Living in a African country, South Africa, coming over to, and I'm sure they had some means down there, but there were probably missionaries. They saw poor down there too.
Correct.
Came over here as immigrants. So that's not, you didn't, though you lived in America, you didn't have American parents.
No, not at all. My parents, both of them, believe in hard work and working hard. And hard work is different from working hard. You got to show up to your job, and then you got to do the best that you can do every day. And that's really kind of what my mom taught me. You got to show up, and you got to do what God's giving you the ability to do. And
they probably saw you and said, you've got a lot of ability.
correct.
You got to tap into it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the other thing, my parents let me try everything. And I love that. Yeah, they let me try baseball. Didn't like baseball, but I had fun in baseball. Soccer, swimming, tennis. I think I played like 4 or 5 sports in high school.
Yeah.
Because they were like, you're going to do this. You're going to try this. I love tennis.
That's awesome.
People they don't know that I play tennis, but I love tennis.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, how do you serve? Do you like drop the ball on the ground? And I'm like, no, that's the easy way out. You got to learn how to serve by throwing the ball up in the air, jumping at apex and hitting the ball.
But once the serve is done, it's almost natural because the big boys are playing with one arm anyway.
Yeah, that's
Correct.
true.
So
Right?
I remember my first high school match, the kid that I was playing across just watched me for 4 points. And I'm like, 40 love. Yeah, go on.
Start playing.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
luckily I beat him, but still I was like, quit watching and play me.
Yeah.
So-
And then how did you end up saying, you played all these sports, how did you land on golf?
I was part of like I don't know. We weren't rec league soccer, but we weren't D1 soccer at my Christian college, and popped my quad playing in the snow, and I was like, well, there's golf.
So you were playing soccer for college?
It was I don't really know how we were like developing the program,
Okay.
and we were in a league and stuff. But,
Okay, I got you.
But so not really college soccer,
Okay.
but.
Like club or something like that? If you wanna say something like that?
Yeah,
Okay.
we play against other college teams.
So then you pop your quad, then here's golf.
Yeah, there's golf. I go to rehab, and I'm like, well, what am I gonna do with my life? And so for my quad, rehab for my quad, and so I'm like, there's always golf, which is cool. And my dad had been trying to subtly push me to golf, and we had a membership at Hoover Country Club. And first day in high school, I try out as a kicker for the football team, make the kicker for the football team. We lose that membership. He's like heartbroken because he knows that I'm good at golf, and that golf will last me a long time. And so he's still pissed. He'll listen to this podcast and be like, "Yeah, why'd you do
kick
that?"
in front of someone?
Yeah, I actually got to kick here, not in Neyland, but the new facility in front of Lane Kiffin and Ed Orgeron back in the day.
Back in the day.
So, on a recruiting trip.
So how did you say, all right, I'm gonna take this golf as far as I can take it and work at this thing?
Not only is golf one of the most mental tough sports, now you got a one-arm golfer adding that on because golf explains everything about somebody's character when you play. So Vince Lombardi said that in his book that I read, 30 years ago.
That golf does?
Want to know somebody, play 18 holes with
No
him.
kidding.
100, yeah.
All right. I've never really played, so that's interesting. Go.
Yeah. Freshman year, community college, I didn't really go to my 8 a.m. classes. I went to a golf course and just practice and practice and practice.
Because you just loved it, right?
Yeah, I loved it. It was art class, so I got an A in it because it's art class, and never went except for like twice. I hope my mom is not listening. But yeah, I mean, just practice. And then really, it was hard playing with really good golfers. But I knew that playing with really good golfers is going to make me a better golfer. And I didn't beat my dad.
So he didn't do it the easy way. You played up.
Yeah, I played up. I've got friends that played in college, and so I love to play with them and get to them, and then found it's called North American One-Arm Golfers Association, and there's a bunch of them. Because for a while I thought I was a unicorn.
Okay, yeah. You're the only guy that does this.
I'm the only one doing it, and so. My mom did some research, and there was a NOAGA, and they're like, "You should really do this." I was like, "No, I can't do this. I gotta play with two-armed people. I gotta, do this, do that." And found them, and they're actually a lot of fun, and they're some great golfers, guys that probably could be on the PGA.
No kidding. Hey, Charlie, you saw him swing.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you think?
It's beautiful, and there's I remember when I lived in North Carolina for a minute. We played at Pinehurst, and there was a guy that had his arm in a sling, from shoulder surgery or whatever, and he played with his left arm all 18 holes. And the left arm is the better arm if you're going to lose one, correct? I don't want to speak on this pro, but because I watched a couple with the right arm, and it's not the same as the left arm.
It's all about backhand, forehand, kind of like tennis. You generate more power with the backhand swing. You have more control with the forehand swing. So my thought process, and my dad was like, "Should you go left hand or right hand?" Like, I don't know. I'm like, "No, I'm gonna hit it as hard as I can, and then control. You can control distance, and so you can't really create speed and distance."
Best drive, how far?
I was at Ballantrae, number 15. It was in the winter time, so the grass was a little frosty. It went 366.
Oh,
so,
he's good.
I had an 8-iron.
That's good enough.
I had an 8-iron into a long par 5. And
yeah.
My uncle, I was playing with my uncle. I love him.
Yeah.
And he was just like,
yeah.
What the heck?
All right, so you joined this league, and you're no longer a unicorn. Yep. And then you find your stride through this league, is that right?
Yeah. So everything kind of happened this year. I've been training golf-wise for this year. Earlier this year, I passed my PAT, which is huge. I was getting up. I don't want to say I was surprised that I did it, but I was kind of surprised that I did it. Normally, the pass rate for the PGA PAT is like 71%. I think, and so not on the first time, on the second time. I think on the first time it's like 61%.
Explain that. I'm a golf idiot, so I don't know what you're talking about.
PGA. So I'm not going on tour or anything. I would love to, maybe in the future. But my passion is teaching golf and getting people excited about golf. So if I can get you to hit one good shot,
so he's a teaching PGA pro.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So there are two levels or two different things. With being a PGA pro, I'll be able to qualify for like the PGA Championship, which I'm going to try to do, and we'll see where that goes.
So you get a chance to qualify for that.
Correct. Yeah. You got stages of qualification for that. So I'll definitely try to do that. I'm not going to go on tour. Those guys are at a different level. Just overall, period.
Yeah.
Like, I think you were talking about Phil Mickelson saying, 3-foot putts. That separates the good golfers from the great ones. And I just don't have time. But I also want to teach. My passion is teaching and getting people to fall in love with golf.
Now, you also compete in the Paralympics, is that right?
So we're getting there. We're getting there.
Okay.
We're getting there. I am on a couple of Team USA disabled golf events that I qualified for. So in April, I qualified. Did the PGA PAT. In June, I did the North American One-Arm Golfers mid season tournament. Came in first. That was the first time I did that.
Kidding.
Yeah, that was really cool. Play a guy who's, just out of this world. He doesn't mess up. And my dad taught me mental toughness, and also on the golf course, you gotta be pretty savage on the golf course and mentally tough. And this guy was not breaking. I'm like, dude, how am I gonna break him? And in golf, it's all about competition and trying to outdrive everybody. And so I finally, it was the 16th hole before I got the tee, which means before I got to tee off first. And that's how good this guy was. I mean, every punch, we were exchanging birdies and pars, and I'm like, dude, what the heck? When are you going? And on 16, it was over the water, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna give it the biggest drive I can. I'm gonna take on the water. I hit about 285 over the water, and I looked at him. I'm like, good luck. And I basically like followed my line.
Yeah.
And he followed my line and was probably 2 feet short in the water. And he made a triple bogey. I made a birdie, and that changed the round. And so mentally, you kind of try to bait people. And golf is a chess match if you know what you're doing.
Yeah,
if
level. You could take it over water, draw it, fade it. It's a chess match.
Okay.
Yeah. Especially for the warm guys. We have a lot of pride in ourselves, and we're like, I'm going to beat you, and I'm the best player. But it was my first time ever playing in a tournament like this. So I was like nervous, but I also knew I was the best player in the world.
Okay.
And y'all were talking about, Tiger Woods' kahunas. Like,
you
had
that mindset. You have that mindset saying that you're going to.
You are the best player.
Yeah.
I'm the best one-arm golfer in the world.
Your parents help you with that?
I think my dad did. I didn't beat my dad until I was 22.
Okay.
And Tybee, not Tybee, Sea Pines.
Okay.
And I remember, like, he would like put clubs in the bag as I was about to swing. He would, his cell phone would go off on purpose. He would just, he would play quick and then he would play slow. And you're like, dude, pick a speed. Yeah. Well, at that point, he's already beaten me mentally. Okay. So he's just throwing those obstacles to see how you will react. From
manifested adversity.
Right? Yeah. The manufacturer, yeah.
I think that helped as well. And so, I mean, it was frustrating because I'd be on 18 and he'd be like, yeah, you got a 2-shot lead. Don't choke. And you're like, great. Thanks. Yeah. At that point, you're not thinking about your golf swing. You're not thinking about tempo. You're not thinking about your breathing. You're like, don't choke and hit OB. Yeah. That was your swing thought. And so that really helped me kind of get mentally tough for golf. So they're always throwing, we would talk about manufactured adversity. Is that something that you should do with your kids? Your parents, clearly, they laid it on. Oh, yeah. I think they loved it. They wanted to see how high you could jump and if you could climb over this stuff. And yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then they cheered when I did it. Yeah. And failure wasn't really an option. So they never really went too hard. Yeah. But in life, I mean, when are you going to, in golf, there's nothing too hard. And, you can't put you can't put $1 million putt on the line when you're with your parents. Yeah. So, well, you've gone on to more success. You have a family. Is that right? Yeah, absolutely. Love my wife and my baby girl, Lila and Olivia. They're amazing. Changed my whole world. Yeah. So. And you are how old? I'm 29. He's done a lot in 29 years. Yeah. Chaz. Yeah. A lot. Lived 4 lifetimes at the age of 29.
Mature beyond his years.
Yeah, absolutely.
He could take on anything, in my opinion.
How are you raising your daughters?
That's a fun conversation. So my wife is probably the strongest person I know, and some days, there are days when you're just like, I don't have it, and so that's what a wife is for. That's what a partner is for. Hey, you got this. You can do this. No excuses. Like, come on, you got this. You gotta be a dad. Like, you can do this. How I'm raising my child. First thing is we're having fun. At this age, she's 9 months old. Oh, 9 months. Okay. And learning, getting into everything. Yeah, we're disciplined. Hey, you can't eat the dog food. We have a Great Dane puppy that's 135 pounds. Okay. And I'm like, you can't eat the dog food.
Okay.
And so we're teaching her no, like
Yeah.
pretty early on, but we're also letting her get into things. We're
Okay.
letting her fall down, carefully, but we're teaching her things, and I love it. Yeah, she'll try to take something from my hand, and I'll play around with it, and like, no, not yet. And she'll get like annoyed, and then she'll get it, and then she'll be like, yeah.
So your baby's very, very young right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here, I'll show you a picture. Cute.
Proud daddy.
Yeah.
I am. I got.
So when will you kick in the principle of no Velcro?
Oh,
That is a great pick.
Trademark.
I think no
wonderful.
Velcro from day one. So my wife, we're actually blessed that she's still here. She had abscess busted during childbirth, and
Wow.
she went septic and had E. coli in her bloodstream and
Wow.
all that. And so for a week, I was at the hospital while the baby was with my in-laws and my parents. And so, I mean, just mentally for her to get through that, she's a trooper. And so I think I learned a lot from her as well.
Mm-hmm.
She learned a lot from me, but we learned a lot from each other about mental and keep going. And
Do you ever think about going back to Ukraine? Visit?
I do. I want to take my family, but right now it's crazy.
Yeah. It's not a good time.
No.
Charlie, speechless.
Yeah, I'd like to meet your parents.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We can make that
well,
happen.
there's it's the book of Ephesians of this. It goes hand in hand. Show me a child, I'll show you good parents, vice versa, and that's an amazing task. What he had to overcome, and still doing it with. I mean, you could just tell his energy when I walked in.
That's great. Yeah.
You could feel it. You could really feel energy. I know that words
Yeah.
played out, and people don't like it, but it's the truth.
When you see how much we talked about this before in the podcast, but we have so much in America. You love America.
Oh, I do. Wouldn't trade it
You
for the world.
wouldn't trade. I mean, so
Yeah.
a lot of people, may have some misgivings about this country, but you love America.
I do.
Um,
I wanted to fight for America. I really did. I remember not watching 9/11, and I was like, "All right, well, I'm going. And I was like 11, and my dad's like, "Yeah, shut up. You're 11."
so you have deep appreciation for
I
this place
do.
because of what we've got and the
Absolutely.
freedoms that we have over
yeah,
here.
and so
So, but also at the same time, we have so much, and you might have generations of people that have gotten so much in their life, and we can take it for granted, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that you've noticed as well, where hey, you come across as someone that is incredibly grateful for your experiences here in America and take nothing for granted. But it's so easy for us who live in this country to take this for granted. What are your thoughts on that?
yeah. Every morning I wake up, I thank God for breath and my family and the abilities that He's given me, the gifts that He's given me, and every day is Thanksgiving for me. I'm thankful for friends that I have. I'm thankful for the car that I have. I tell him, I'm like, dude, thanks for 140,000 miles on my car. Thank you.
Yeah.
Do I want a new car? Absolutely. Do I need a new car? No. I'm a roofer right now. I sell roofs, kind of in the in between process of jobs and stuff. But I've got a ladder in the back of my car. I'll get on your roof. I'll fix your roof for you.
So for you, it's gratitude.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't think you go there preach on the pulpit. But for every day, every time you wake up, every time you step into your car that with 140,000, you can sit back and say, "I've got it made. This is great."
Oh yeah, because I've seen what it was when I didn't have anything.
Right.
And I think gratitude is taught, but it's also experienced as well. And so, yeah, you can teach your kids to be thankful and all that, and bedtime and story and Thanksgiving. But you also kind of have to sometimes go through it. And I mean, like here, I bet you didn't start out with this. I bet
you're right.
This is an incredible place. Yeah, you've got all these jerseys on the wall, but there was a time that you didn't have any jerseys on the wall.
Sure.
And so I think hard work, the harder you work, the more grateful you can become. But you got to be thankful first. And that's my motto. You choose joy, and you gotta be thankful first.
Choose joy. Got to be thankful first.
Yeah.
And then
No Velcro.
No Velcro.
I like that. Good job. Give me that shirt.
I was thinking, he's overwhelming. He's overwhelming. It's a lot to take in because he's so Griff, spot on. Kudos to you to go, hey, you have to have him on the show. So we make sure that we get the right people on the show, that we have that choice to put anybody on here that we think actually resembles a Wood Jim Patron guy, and he's one of them.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking to myself, Chewy, is you do roofing.
Yeah,
Right.
I do. Yeah.
When you show up to a job,
Oh,
what type of
God.
looks do you get?
The old ladies are like, "Be careful, don't fall off and die."
Or do they say
then-
you want me to climb up there?
Oh yeah, and the guys will be like, "Do you just want me to do it?" I'm
Yeah.
like, "No, I
Yeah.
get paid to do this."
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be one of
Yeah.
those guys. I'll be honest with you.
Been doing it for
Yeah.
a minute.
Yeah, no Velcro.
No Velcro. Yeah, we got cool shoes to climb rooms now, which they have sponges on the bottom. God, they're a lifesaver.
That's amazing.
Chaz, man.
I mean,
Is this guy mentally tough?
yeah.
Does he have an answer for mentally tough?
Yeah, he did. He thinks you're, born with it, most of it. And I think you could cultivate it some, as we witnessed in this wood gym with certain people. But I think he's the perfect recipe for mental toughness, in my opinion.
Survivor has come to the greatest country on earth with so much and is so grateful and continues to push on. I mean, it's just...
Well, and he keeps it simple, and that's
Yeah.
what Griff was telling me, and that's what I've always done, even with the training, is I've kept it simple. And then what you're grateful for is, I always say the same thing, and I think maybe Jesus followers say those things and appreciate breath and my feet hitting the floor in the morning, and I didn't die in my sleep.
Yeah.
And
Faith, we talked a little bit about faith, but he brings it all home.
I mean, he's the epitome. He's the example of what I'd welcome him back anytime. I mean, I'd like to help him out with any of his goals or dreams or whatever he's trying to do with sponsorships or coming in and train. I got some golfers on the wall.
Yeah, I saw Brent up there. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, and he was you talk about, that's a real quick. I'll tell you about Brant Snideker and this other guy from Australia real fast, a sports agent that I trained him when he was playing golf at UT Georgia Tech and went on to play in the pros. Jimmy Johnston gave me my first golfers after him. I trained him through years and years. I've known him since high school.
Who's Jimmy Johnston?
Jimmy Johnston with a T.
Johnston? Okay.
Yeah, he was a local kid here that went to Farragut High School and was really, really good. I mean, lights out good. Went to UT, transferred Georgia Tech, was on the tour. Same thing of Griff's father. He would always come see me when I was working at Fox Den cleaning clubs and trying to start my business. And, Jimmy came in the back room and was like, listen, I want to start training. Let's get this thing. So I was like, let's do it. Or maybe I went to him.
So this was way back in the day.
back.
Oh, okay.
So when he
30 years ago.
when he was retired from that and came, I went to watch him at Atlanta Country Club play and all that type of jazz. So I've been around the PGA game a little bit. He brought in two guys, and one guy was from Australia and one guy was from Nashville. And I didn't know him from Adam. I don't watch much sports at all. I'm a reality TV guy. Bravo. New Jersey Housewives. Shout out.
My wife and I, or my wife would bond with you.
Yeah. I'm usually good with the ladies watching TV.
I'm sure. Bachelorette.
Yeah,
Fire,
we got it.
Fire.
They came in and worked out for the weekend. And that's when I had the house with the pool house and everything. And Brant Snideker was doing step-ups. So was the other guy. I forgot the other gentleman's name. Well, they both went around back and threw up.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And I was like, it's when somebody throws up and it's the first time, you're like, all right, let's shut it down. Let's get, hydrate, Gatorades, whatever in the fridge. Let's take it back to the house. One guy took it back to the house. And the other one was like, I want to finish my workout.
There you go.
And then Jimmy came to me. He dropped them all for whatever and picked them back up Sunday. And he goes, which one do you like?
The one that came back.
The one that came back, and he's on the wall.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Doing big things. So. Well, thank you guys for having me on, sharing my story, and I mean, I'm grateful for y'all.
Well, I'm just staring at him some, so it's going to be different, because this is a unique guest. Again, shout out to Griff bringing him. I mean, we've had everybody and anybody on here from, billionaires to all pros to MLB All Stars, World Series champions. I mean, we've got them all, but I'm in all of the other facets. And I always said that. It's like, okay, Tom Brady come in and work out, that'd be great. But if Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise were in here, it'd be like, oh my gosh, because I'm not in that genre. He's the example of what we're trying to find out with mental toughness.
Yeah.
He's also the example of life gives you lemons and you better make lemonade out of it. If you don't want to go biblical, just think of that and, take it that way if you want to. But definitely go biblical because it will save your life and give you peace and joy because happiness flees. It comes and goes. That's a good meal. That's a vacation trip. But he picks joy.
It's amazing.
And I think that was hit home with him. And wow, I'm in awe. I'm in awe. And you did your homework once again.
Heck yeah.
I was the second guest on the show listening to a lot of that.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Well, thank you so much. I was so excited to have you on here, and you blew it out the water. I hope all the success in the world for you, your family, your growing family. What an honor to have you share such a story to everyone. I hope everyone listens to this. This has been so special. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and the way he carries himself is
awesome.
is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd bring him anywhere.
Yeah,
I could bring him to any stadium box or any type of gathering I went to and go, this is my guy, and rock on. Like, I wouldn't even have to talk for him as people would share.
Yeah.
And he's gravitable. You want to be around him.
Okay,
so
absolutely.
God bless you. And man, big things coming your way for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Thank you. If y'all need some golf lessons, let me know.
Well, thank you. Oh, man.